Mr. Kruger, you couldn't just stay quiet in my pockets, could you? No. You had to jingle with your friends with every step that I took. You guys couldn't just be quiet, could you? And you're the worst of them all. Mr. Kruger. Paul. Well, I have some bad news for you. You've jingled your last jig.
Well, we're gathered today to honor this little Krugerrand. Minted in 1967, the Krugerrand was designed as the working man's coin. And 10 years later, in 1977, the Boston Herald American ran an ad campaign calling the Krugerrand the world's best way to own pure gold. And he was the Krugerrand was the first gold bullion coin that the world ever had. He lived a good life, and I'm sad to see him laid to rest.
Rest in peace, Mr. Rand.
Mr. Krugerrand.
Rest in peace, Mr. Kruger. So some of you may be wondering, why did this happen? Well, it's because I had this idea. That Krugerrands were essentially indestructible. Being 91.67% gold and 8.33% copper, I thought they were rough, tumbly little guys. In fact, I've been known to sometimes carry them around in my pockets and they jingle together, and I haven't had any issues with them. Maybe the tiniest of scratches, barely even visible to the naked eye. But for the most part, indestructible. And so maybe I read something somewhere or saw something somewhere or just had a thought. Maybe they are indestructible or very difficult to damage. Well, today I found out I was wrong. Apparently, intentionally stabbing them repeatedly is not good for them. So the question is now that the damage is done, how much is this Krugerrand worth? What do you guys think? I think probably I can still get it for about 50, 75 under spot if I go to sell it, rather than getting it for exactly spot. We might go ahead and take this out to a couple coin shops and see what exactly I can get for this Krugerrand, because I'm kind of curious to know myself.
All right, so we just left
Okay.
shop number one.
Shop number one. So my Krugerrands, the Krugerrands that were circulated, including the dinged up one, and also the gold eagle that was circulated, those were all being offered at $18.50, right? And we were going to get $18.50 plus $18.50. So I guess that'd be a total of $1868.50 for the mint condition gold eagle. That's what we're being offered. So interesting. Shop number one. What I also want to direct your attention to, this is kind of fun. I just happened to see this.
Salt.
So there's a book on salt out there that I'm a big fan of. We'll go to the next shop and see what we get, and I don't know.
So far, interesting that the really dinged up Krugerrand was the same bid price as the one that was just lightly circulated.
Yeah.
So basically, unless they're in mint condition right now, it seems like
at least for this shop.
Yeah.
The prices of the
All right, we'll see.
All right.
Okay, lunch break.
Time for lunch. And maybe a
Cheers.
small cocktail.
Small cocktail?
Cheers.
Okay, so we stopped by coin shop number 2, and they did not let us film either, which is okay. Now, both of these coin shops, this is interesting. I haven't seen this in other coin shops I've been to. They have booths that you go to, and there's you have a private booth, and it's like a one-on-one transaction or a party-on-party transaction. License were on one side, and the dealer was on the other side.
Yeah.
And they're staffed by multiple people too, so it wasn't just one dealer, as you see, or one or two dealers that you see. They are bigger operations. So they offered 18 for the Krugerrands, both the Krugerrands, so dinged up Krugerrand, circulated Krugerrand, and the circulated American Eagle, they were offering 18, and for the mint condition Eagle, they were offering 1900.
And for the mint condition Krugerrand, they said 1880.
Okay, that's right. You asked him hypothetically, at a mint condition Krugerrand, what would he sell it, and he said 1880. Yeah, that's right. Although I didn't have that to show him, so. Okay, interesting to get some thoughts, get some more pricing data, and we'll go to shot number 3 here and see what we see.
Woo!
Right?
Okay, let's go.
Right. Whew! What a day.
Welcome back.
What did we find out today? Let's see. Let's review.
So we did stop at 2 coin shops today.
We were going to stop at the third, but it said it was open online, and then it turned out not to be open online. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
But the first place was offering $18.50 for all of the circulated Krugerrands, including our little Krugerrand that had a little accident. Well,
The guy got a little dented up, huh?
I don't know if that's really an accident, but he was offered the same price as all of the circulated Krugerrands, which the rest of them have small imperfections, but
Negligible. I
they're
mean,
very-
just the most minute scratches. And by the way, I received them in this condition.
Oh, did you?
All the Krugerrands I ordered, I bought them. They had just the tiniest, minute scratches, gently circulated.
So they were not mint condition when you bought these
No.
ones? Do you know what you paid for them? Was it spot? Below spot, you think?
I'd probably say somewhere in the 50 to 60 over spot range.
And was that at a coin shop that you got these, or you don't
I
remember?
think I got these online.
Online.
Yeah.
So just for reference, the closing price for gold on Friday, which was yesterday, was $1,928, so $1,928 even flat. So today, the first coin shop said they do 96% for anything that has any imperfections, so that would be $18.50, and it would have been 97% had they been minted, I think.
Yeah, and I gave you the numbers for that.
Which would be like $18.70.
1870, okay.
The second shop offered $1,800.
And that was for all coins. So we brought along this minted Golden Eagle just to say, okay, well, what would you get if it was in mint condition, right? Because we wanted to know.
And he said 97%
All right.
as well.
And what were the results from the second shop?
The second shop offered $1,800, so $50 less per coin for the Krugerrands that were circulated. But again, we specifically pointed out the most damaged Krugerrand coin and asked if there'd be any change in the price, and they said it doesn't matter. They're all the second guy. He
said we're gonna have to melt them all down anyway. I don't know how
Yeah.
true that is, but it's interesting that he said that.
Yeah, so he said it doesn't matter if they have imperfections; they're all going to be melted down. So he offered $1,800 for the 3, and said if they were minted, it'd be $1,880. So the minted price for the
No, hold on. Let's clarify. He said if he specifically offered $1,900 for the minted Gold Eagle.
Yes.
And we asked hypothetically if we had a mint condition Krugerrand.
He said
he would
1880.
do 1880 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You keep saying minted, but she means mint condition.
Yes, right. Mint
All coins
condition.
are by definition minted. It's okay.
True. Okay. But yes, he knew what I meant. I
Right.
think. And so the point is, for the circulated Krugerrands, you get a better price at the first shop. But if you had coins in mint condition, you would actually have gotten a better price if you sold to the second shop.
Yeah, as an experienced stacker, what surprised me, well, there's a couple things that surprised me. First is that the market I'm in, I'm not used to getting quotes or offers below spot, right? I'm used to getting offers about at spot and then having to pay more as a premium. Here, the bid-ask spread's a little bit wider. We're seeing, I asked a couple of the prices for things just to get an idea. They want about $70 to $100 over spot on the ask. Yeah. That's on their ask, and then on the bid side, they're offering about,
96, 97%.
Yeah, or which
For the
works out to about $40 to $50 under spot.
Right, but the second
Right.
place was even more
under.
because they were about $128 under spot.
Yeah, which is amazing. That's a wider bid-ask spread than I'm used to. I'm not sure if that's a fluctuation of market conditions. Maybe you guys can let us know. I'd actually be really curious to know like your city or general area of the country or state and what you're seeing for fluctuations of prices. Because this really surprised me to see $100 above. They have to pay $100 above spot to get gold, and then have to only be able to sell it about $100 under spot. That surprised me. Usually it's just $50 to $100 above spot. You buy it and you can sell it at spot. That's what I'm used to. So that's the first thing that surprised me. The second thing that really surprised me, really surprised me, is that the really just battered, dinged up. I mean, you guys, you've seen the picture. This really battered, dinged up Krugerrand was getting the exact same price offer, not one but two different locations. That was really surprising to me.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to say it's going to be about $50 or $100 less, for a 1 ounce gold coin.
Because it's in such poor condition.
Because it's in really poor condition. I mean, as we know, I remember having an experience. I was in a shop in Florida, and I remember offering. I said, well, I didn't have the product in hand, but I said hypothetically, if I had brought in a Canadian maple leaf that was a little bit scratched up, had very fine scratches, what would you give me for it? And the guy's like, yeah, I'd give you probably $100 or about $100 under spot. And I said, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Here, I'm getting offers at $100 under spot for very gently circulated 22 karat coins, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even getting spot here for mint condition coins, right?
Yeah.
And the first guy, he said some comments that really interested me. He said, 2 years ago, it might have mattered. People would have cared, or we would have cared, if there was some sort of serious damage to the coin, right? But now he's saying now the demand is so high for physical gold that we don't care anymore. Like, we're able to turn it around. And this is what really interests me, because when a lot of us are going to consider either selling it for fiat or probably selling or giving away gold in transaction for some other thing, like maybe property, real estate, a car, whatever we need to purchase, food, right? The appearance of gold, even though a lot of us like it, I don't think in that situation, whether it's a true SHTF or let's just say gold prices shoot the moon like some of us think they might, if gold is hanging around $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 an ounce, and stocks have gone down, maybe real estate's gone down or stayed flat, and all these conditions have happened, and you take your dinged up, dented Krugerrand to the coin dealer, who can then turn it around that same day because demand is so intense,
right,
and get sell it off to a wholesaler or sell it to another retail investor or whatever he's trying to do. If we get to that point, they're not going to care about the morphology or the characteristics of the gold as long as it is actual elemental gold. We're probably a couple years into a gold proper bull market here, and we're already seeing it's not starting to matter because physical supply is tight. Well, what do you guys think is going to happen if gold's trading at $5,000 or $10,000 a coin, or even $3,000 or $4,000 a coin, or even just regardless of price, the demand for it is so high that people want to have that physical gold? I'm telling you, morphology is not going to matter. I just don't think so. I think you can have toned silver, it's not going to matter. I think you can have a couple scratches on your pure gold, it's not going to matter. You can have a bunch of pits and cuts with a knife on a 22 karat gold piece right now today, and it's getting bought up with the same excitement as very gently scratched from general circulation otherwise. And the mint condition, again, is only trading a little bit higher.
Yeah, so it sounds like unless you're going to keep it in its original packaging, then once it's out, it's probably not going to really matter how dinged up it is at that point. It's either dinged up or it's not. It's kind of binary.
So I guess if you apply that to silver, too, if you even open the tubes out of mint condition, like I have sealed tubes, of silver. You're aware of this. Mm-hmm. And I have unsealed ones, and the unsealed ones I carry around, and they've got serious toning. You might have seen it in previous videos. I mean, they're partly brown because where I was living was kind of humid. Not much I can do about that, except, I guess, get humidity control. So if you even take the silver out of the tubes, it's already not mint condition, right? So you can handle it with cotton gloves. You can do this, you can do that. You can do all these things, but you're going to get very minute scratches on it. You're going to get exposure to air, which is going to cause oxidation. So unless you're keeping it in the tubes and keeping it wrapped, unless you're keeping your gold in its original packaging, probably, especially if it's got little, plastic cassettes or some of those I've seen, like kind of credit card paper with lamination on it. I've seen those too. Unless you're keeping it in those, right? I think it's you're not going to get any premium on pricing other than over very gentle circulation, or even overwhelmingly disfigured coins, because that coin was just mutilated. It was disfigured.
Right.
Yeah.
I have two things I want to say. First of all, is that a lot of the items that were in their cases had permanent prices. Well, maybe not permanent, but they had sticker prices on them, indicating that they weren't fluctuating daily with the spot price.
These are places, if I bought from them, I would haggle pretty aggressively. I'd say, listen, I'll pay $50 over spot for how many. Yeah, which is another point that they brought up to us as well. And this is something I've seen all throughout my stacking career. If you buy in bulk, you get better deals. If you sell in bulk, you get better deals.
Yeah, like they'll pay more per unit if you sell more than, one or two coins.
Yep.
To me, that seems kind of backwards when you think bulk, whoever's buying it in bulk, whether it's you or the dealer buying from you, that whoever's buying it in bulk gets the discount. But
so it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, it's better to have larger transaction volumes in as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So instead of making 5 trips to sell off 1,000 ounces of silver at $200 or 200 ounces at a time, do it all in one trip.
Yeah.
You get a better deal. My suspicion, the reason is they're happier to buy in bulk is because, and Tim's kind of touched on this too from time to time in his videos. I think when dealers are trying to unload product, sometimes they'll unload it to retailers. They'll just keep it in their shop as inventory, and they'll sell it to the next person who walks in the door. Other things they'll do is, if they have large enough amounts, and this is where bulk is key, if they have, let's say, 50 ounces of gold, or I don't know, maybe 20, definitely like 1,000 or more ounces of silver, or maybe a monster box worth at least, then they can call up a wholesaler, and they can say, okay, I've got this much, and the wholesaler will be interested in taking it off their hands. And then that wholesaler can turn around and redistribute it to a bunch of other coin shops. So that the liquidity in the market is, you see it on the retail side, but also the wholesaler side. So that's why I think the retailers can afford to give you better prices if you sell your gold or silver in bulk.
That makes sense.
Yeah. As a scientist at heart, and professionally trained, and a laboratorian in practice, I want to justify destructive testing. Now, obviously, wherever possible, you want to have non-destructive testing, right? That's your assaying on metals, that's your ping test, that's everything else. Whatever the hell that Thermo Fisher machine was. That was pretty cool. That looked at the surface composition. That was pretty interesting. I gotta look into the methods there because I'm curious. Maybe I'll talk about that sometime. But non-destructive testing is good, and you can also use radiographic studies too. But I also think destructive testing can make sense too. I remember seeing an episode of Pawn Stars, and I'm not recommending that anybody goes and tries to sell their silver to a pawn shop. You'll probably get pretty bad rates. But here I remember in that episode, the guy got a pretty good deal. He was selling, I think, a 1,000-ounce bar of silver, and I think he was selling 2 or 3 100-ounce bars. So the Pawn Star people, when they were determining whether or not they were going to buy it and what they're going to offer for it, they actually drilled a core sample into the 1,000-ounce bar, and they put a nitrate salt onto it, and that reacted with the silver, and that let them know that it was properly silver, right? Elemental silver, because it had the correct stoichiometric reaction. So that was pretty cool. So destructive testing here, we took a coin. It got screwed up. You guys see how screwed up it is. That is about as good testing as you can do. So we're going to call a couple of coin shops too, maybe send them a picture, or maybe you'll stop by 1 or 2 more. Yeah, we won't be able to film, but we'll get some more data.
Yeah, and you guys can also, verify independently. If you go to local coin shops, ask your coin dealers how badly damaged a coin would have to be for them to, further deduct the bid that they're willing to offer for it.
Yeah.
But I think that the results surprised you, because I think on one side you thought it wouldn't be damaged by a knife scratch, that it would be more resilient to that kind of.
That's true too. Yeah, I was surprised at how much damage got done to that Krugerrand. I really was.
You were, but then I think on the flip side, you were also surprised that
didn't affect the value that much.
Price wasn't affected.
Yeah, not at all. But I have a challenge for you guys. Okay, and my challenge is this: if you can, I want you to do 2 things. 1, I'd love to see a picture. Can we post pictures on YouTube?
I think.
You know what we might do? If you want to mail us a picture of your dingiest coin.
Email?
We have it's barelybullishinvesting@protonmail.com. That's our address. I'd love to see a picture of your dingiest coin, gold or silver, all right, not numismatic stuff. Dingiest gold or silver coin. And next time you go to a coin shop, if you can ask them, what their bid would be, what they would offer you for it. I'd love to get that information. That'd be kind of cool. If I get enough responses, we'll probably put together like a little segment of it. And if you could also include your city or state or area when you send that in, so I can put up a picture, I can put up the price you were offered, and I can also put up what it is too. If a picture doesn't make it clear, that'd be pretty cool. And then also the city or state or kind of general area you're from. So that way we can get maybe 20, 30, 50, maybe even 100, and we just kind of go through them, and I'll even tabulate it, maybe do a little analysis, maybe do an infographic heat map. There's a lot of cool stuff I can do if I have that kind of data. But if you guys want to send it in, I'm happy to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And there's one final thing I want to say. All right. The last point I want to make in this video, which is very important to me. I know a lot of people are going to be fuming with anger that I could do this to a Krugerrand. Okay? Or at least that people have alleged that I did it to the Krugerrand. I admit to nothing.
There's a lot of hard evidence that you did this.
A lot of people might get annoyed by that, but there's one philosophical point that I want to leave you with, okay? And that's this. I feel that we are not owned by our metals, that we own them. These things, these gold and silver pieces of metal, these are just materials, and they're manifestations of material wealth, but that's it. The last thing we should do is give them, even though we can admire them for being pretty, the last thing we should do is elevate them. The last thing we should do is worship them. The last thing we should do is make a thing about focusing on their substance or their form, because I think that's excessive. And in fact, my biggest initial areas of reluctance with getting involved at all in stacking was my concern about avarice. I did not want to be that guy or that person, that gal, who becomes so obsessed with their material wealth in hand, who becomes so obsessed with the appearance of it, the holding of it, the feeling of it, that I become avaricious. And so part of my philosophy is to avoid becoming avaricious, to avoid becoming too focused on what this is, and to avoid loving it too much. I destroy it a little bit, right? Because I am the master of these metals. They're mine. They're here to serve me. I'm not here to serve them. And I don't care about their morphology. What I do care about is what they'll provide for me and the people that I care about under the right circumstances. What I can use them to do and reallocate capital in the future to do amazing projects that I would love to be doing right now, but I can't because I don't have capitalization. Yeah. So these metals are my servants. I'm not their servant.
And I mean, it's just interesting because they really are, at the core, they are money. And money is to be circulated. And in order to be circulated, it has to be handled. Hopefully, people can kind of see the value of this experiment. But I think we're just interested to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, and definitely what you can get for your older dinged up coins. That'd be kind of neat to find out too. But yeah, drop some comments. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching today and letting me share my precious thoughts.